Hello and welcome back to another episode of Addicted to Business. Today we are joined by Managing Director and Lead Swan of Indigo Swan, James Groves. Welcome, James.
Hi, afternoon. How are you doing, Stockley?
I am amazing, thank you. And co-hosted by the wonderful and lovely Nathan Lomax.
Oh, here we go, Nate.
I had to compliment you this time, Nathan.
There's so much love in this virtual room.
All the Swan love.
That's right, mate. That's right. I love it.
I was going to explain who Indigo Swan are and what you guys do, but I think that is better coming from you.
Of course, no problem at all. So we're Indigo Swan. We're an energy consultancy based in Norwich, Norfolk. So we like to say that we help businesses make better business decisions when it comes to their energy. 25% of what we do is brokerage. There's no hiding behind that. We are a broker at heart.
Yeah.
75% of it, and more importantly though, is aftercare service, looking after our clients' needs, making sure we deal with their queries and any questions they have, so that they have the time to go and run their businesses and do the things that are probably more important to them. So we're pretty much an outsourced mini energy department, so to speak.
Okay. And so going back to you personally, how did you start your journey with Indigo Swan?
Wow. Nicely timed as well. This week is my 10-year anniversary. We
did that on purpose, by the way.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you
doesn't matter. There's not going out
so
to
much due to lockdown. So yeah, it's my 10-year anniversary. But before that, I worked in the world of finance.
Okay.
Trust still going strong. Loans, mortgages, things like that. I started there when I was 19 years old. I was fortunate enough to get my first leadership role there at 21, and had a great time there. Lots of my best friends now I came from there, and I met them there, and it was great for a leadership journey and leadership development at such a young age. My boss at the time was only 23, so again he was young in a position of seniority, and I learned a lot from him, a gentleman called Rob, and that was very useful. Sadly then, 2008, recession kicked in. Lots of redundancies were made. I lasted quite a while, to be fair, after that, which was fortunate, but the opportunity came along in Indigo Swan, founded by my cousin Emily. We'd been in contact for a few months, and the timing just seemed right, really, to sort of jump on board something that was new and something that was exciting. I obviously had experience of brokering world, had experience of how that works and how we work with our clients from a finance point of view, and transferring through that to energy was an exciting opportunity. Also, I was very committed to myself. I said, whatever I do next, I need to do something that people are always going to need.
Yeah.
And people will always need energy.
Yeah.
You know, we'll find that now, regardless of what's happening, lockdown, whatever it may be. People have always got to turn on the lights. So for me, that was a big selling point. And yeah, jumped on board 10 years ago. I've had the privilege, or well, unfortunately, I don't know, it depends which way you look at it, of doing every job there is to do, pretty much at Indigo Swan, which is, served me in good stead for my career journey with them. And like I say, it was great starting, at the bottom, so to speak, doing admin and then sales, new business, doing all sorts of different stuff for the company, and working my way up in the last 10 years to managing director, which is where I am today.
Mate, it's been a phenomenal rise, and actually just kind of watching that has been fascinating. But to me, the really interesting piece is around anyone that knows you and knows Indigo Swan knows it's an energy consultancy. For some people, the stuff you do on culture is arguably the best around, right? And I'm keen to dig into that a little bit more, because it's phenomenal and it sets a benchmark for many businesses to follow. What are the kind of 2 or 3 top things you've done at Indigo Swan, which you kind of believe is a reason why everyone sees you as that kind of front runner in the world of culture?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it started 10 years ago when Emily founded the company. I think we are an energy consultancy. There's no hiding behind that. That's what makes the money. That's what pays the bills. But one of our biggest aims was to be a business in Norfolk that we were proud of, Norfolk was proud of, and then anyone who worked for us was proud of. And that was very much the foundations of the company. And just wanting to care about people, I think. When you talk about culture, it's a case of just caring about the individuals that work for you, and caring about them on a personal level, but also caring about them as far as how their career development is going to go, what they're going to gain from their time at Indigo Swan, and ideally keep them working for us for a long time to come. And we've been fortunate to have a lot of long-term members of staff with us, and that's very much come from that sort of caring point of view. Moving on from that, and as the company's developed and as I've been able to put my stamp on things, 2 of our values are very key to what our culture is. One of those being celebrating individuality. I think from a cultural point of view, the fact is we are 20 very different individuals with lots of similarities, which I know contradicts itself, but it's very, very true. You know, we've all got very individual personality types, we've all got very individual interests, but there's a lot of similarities that work really nicely together. But celebrating each and every member of the team for what they bring on their own merit and what they bring with their personality is hugely important to building the culture and creating the culture that we've had. If you go back 10 years to when there was 5 of us, you know, if I take me, Andy, and Leanne, for example, who are still there in different roles, you know, we're 3 very different people. I always say Andy is my best friend, but we couldn't be more opposite. You know, I'm very about the people, the personal side, and all that sort of stuff, and he is very process driven. But because we're so opposite, that's why we're such good friends, because we complement each other so well. And then if you extend that out to all 20 swans, it works in the same way. You know, we're all very different in our own unique way, but we all come together because we all got our own individual strengths and individual areas we need help with. So celebrating that individuality is something that's really allowed us to build our culture over the years, and embracing that and not trying to morph everyone into one thing, one size fits all. That's not how it works. A culture for me is created by numerous different individuals going in the same direction and following the same path to the same goal, and using all those individual traits.
Those kind of advocates you've got now, all the individual swans that are always out there really championing the brand, and then you can tell that's not forced, right? They generally have a love for the brand and want to tell everyone how proud they are to be part of the Swan family.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say this, it's like if anybody goes out, whether it be Alex, whether it be Jamie, whether it be Amy, Louise, whoever it might be, if someone comes up to them and says, right, so what we see and what we hear, is that true? And I want them to be able to say yes, and I truly believe they say yes because they believe it. They're not just saying yes because that's what they think they should say. You know, when I go and do sort of speaking appearances and things like that now, when you get to the Q&A bit, and I now take swans with me to answer the question. Because if somebody asks me a question, well, they're going to think I'm telling them what they want to hear.
Sure.
Whereas by taking swans with me now to do, when I do speaking appearances and so, when the Q&A comes, I'm just going to go and sit down. You've heard enough from me. You've seen enough of me. Ask these guys. You know, these are the guys that live and breathe it every single day. You know, if you've got questions around our culture and questions around what's really going on, then these are the best guys to answer it. And they answer them honestly and authentically. You know, sometimes things aren't perfect, and they'll answer that and say why that is as well. And that's great for me as a leader, and great for me to take those things away and obviously continue to develop and continue to improve the company.
And that's a great lesson for anyone looking to kind of embark on leadership or in a leadership role, that actually, giving that kind of autonomy or freedom to the team to say, it's not down to you to kind of shape them. They're all individuals, and they've all got an important part in the journey. Absolutely.
And, you know, the second one, which is another value, is the happiness first that we always say. You know, it's our first value. It's the first thing that sits at the top of all our values is happiness first. You know, if we can be happy and every single swan can be happy, then, you know, our suppliers will be happy, our clients will be happy. We can hopefully make the Norfolk business community happy. You know, maybe energy sector happier. People looking at it as the energy sector go, oh, the energy sector must be exciting. Any sector you work in is as exciting as you want it to be. And, you know, we've been very fortunate over the years to win a number of awards within our sector. And, you know, we're well remembered because, you know, you go to these awards and someone wins something and there's a little clap and people go up and get their award and then sit back down. We go mental, you know, and you know, we go to these events and, you know, there are all people sitting there and stuff. And then suddenly Indigo Swan wins something and we're getting up, cheering, whooping, hollering. And, you know, things like that mean a massive deal to us. And it is very much that happiness first approach to our culture. And, you know, everyone being happy will just then naturally ripple out to, like I say, clients, suppliers, the business community and things like that.
So, you know, carry on after you.
No, sorry, Stockley, go. You go.
I was going to say, so, you know, touched upon it there, perhaps the energy consultancy industry is misunderstood. For those that may have never heard of energy consultants, how would you say that you help businesses? And is there an ideal business type that Indigo Swan would like or prefer to work with, or is it anyone?
Yeah, it's a good question. Misunderstood is probably true to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I think, like I say, energy can be maybe perceived as being boring. It's certainly not. You know,
you guys are totally flipping it on the head though that way. Yeah,
we very much enjoy what we do, and we do love what we do. And it's one of those. It's like energy is probably within a lot of businesses top 3 costs. So you can't hide from it. You know, it's a cost that's there, especially if you're a manufacturer or you're in hospitality or something like that. It's gonna be a big cost to you. where we come in, very much like I said at the beginning, it's about saving people the time. And by saving them time, you are technically saving them money, you know, and we can save them that as well. People have got better things to be doing. They've got their businesses to run. They've got other things they need to be doing. You know, they don't necessarily have the time to go out there and trawl through the numerous different offers and that are available to them and things like this. So, you know, when we come in, it's a case of, you know, most companies we talk to have three things they're looking to achieve. Everybody wants a good price. There's no hiding away from that. It's whatever you get, you want to get a good price. And, you know, our job is to go out to the 26, 27 different suppliers we work with and work hard, negotiate. I always say it's like stocks and shares. It's like, you know, we'll go out, we'll get some offers in around about 11 o'clock. By the time we start presenting them to the client at 1 o'clock, they look very different because we've been out negotiating and finding what we can do to sort of really bring those prices down as best we can. You know, and on the other side, some people want smart meters installed. Some people want their billing in a certain way. And, you know, this is all stuff that takes time. And it's where a company, like I said, like an outsourced energy department like we are, comes in order to save those clients time and bring great value to them. And, you know, ultimately, hopefully, through the negotiations that we have, save them some money as well. And we become quite valuable, especially to, you mentioned sectors. We work in the property sector quite a lot. So if you imagine large property companies who have lots of numerous different blocks of flats and things like that, they've got anywhere between 100 to 3,000 to 4,000 different individual meters. You know, you can imagine the billing for that and the admin that goes behind that sort of stuff. You know, that's where we show real true value. And then the education sector has been really good to us as well, working with a lot of academy groups and things like that, and really being able to help them cut their costs because, you know, now a lot of them have their own budget. They're not necessarily supported by the council as much as they used to be and things like that. So, you know, really being able to help them with their budgets and help them save their time as well because, you know, within schools especially, they've got much better things to be concentrating on. And then for me personally, the opportunity to give back to schools is important as well. You know, if I can go in and talk to some of the students about how they can potentially save some energy at home or something like that, then that brings me great satisfaction and brings extra value to the school from an outside speaker point of view as well. So there's two examples of how a company like ours can help those types of companies.
James, I think it's amazing the story behind Indigo Swan, and obviously Emily takes and so rightly so should take a lot of credit for that, and her journey's been absolutely incredible. We hope to have her as a guest on another show. But in terms of the people listening today, there might be a few people in a similar kind of shoes to you in terms of working in a family business. I get it was cousins, sometimes it's normally grandparent, parent, child. But actually, in terms of running or working in a family business, what advice would you give to those people in the same situation? In terms of, again, some people often raise it's quite a challenge. So yeah, what would you say about working in a family business?
It's difficult. It has its challenges. It also has a huge amount of positives as well, and I think that's the thing I would stress. For me, the first area really is whatever family member you're getting into business with. It's a case of really understanding and appreciating your strengths. You know, what are your strengths as an individual? What, as a member of the family and a member of then the business, are you going to bring to that relevant company? You know, as far as Indigo Swan is concerned, you know, Indigo Swan wouldn't be here now if it wasn't for Emily putting that work in the early days. You know, she's very process minded. She's always said herself she's much happier behind a spreadsheet than she is in front of people. You know, that's very much, you know, she's come out of her comfort zone to do a lot of the stuff that she's done over the years, most definitely. But when it comes to processes and things like that, there's not really anybody better. And that's where the company was started and what it was built on. And then for me, yeah, my strengths were with people and developing the Swans, forging relationships with key accounts, bringing in new business. And we were both very respectful of those different individual strengths that we had. And hopefully we were both able to help each other with the areas that we wanted to develop in, which I think we definitely have over the course of the last 10 years. So yeah, that's the first thing I would say, be respectful of each other's strengths and help each other with the areas for development. I think appreciate that things will be hard. I don't think if you're going into business with family, don't ever think it's going to be smooth sailing, because it's not. You know, the conversations that you would have normally in a business, if you were talking to, if you had a business partner who you weren't related to, that's one thing. If you're then having those types of conversations with somebody who's a member of your family, it also gets magnified by, 100. You know, it doesn't become harder necessarily. It just becomes very different. And you have to be careful, and you have to make sure you're communicating open and honestly at all times. I think that's the other tip really, is just be open and honest. If you're frustrated by something, which we can all be in business, is just be open and honest about it. We're not always going to agree. You know, we're always going to have different opinions. But at the same time, as a business, we always want what's best for Indigo Swan.
Yeah.
And that's the decision we'll come to in the end, obviously.
And other groves in the Indigo Swan kind of empire, or is it just you two?
Oh, you know my brother, so he's chomping at a bit, but no, he's not involved. No,
he's not yet involved.
Yeah, no, you never know. Emily's dad is my uncle. Is a shareholder. He played a part in the very early days of Indigo Swan. He shows a keen interest in what we're doing. Sarah, Emily's sister, worked for Indigo Swan for a very long time. She now has her own successful reflexology business, which is fantastic. And you know, from her success at Indigo Swan, she was able to go and, you know, follow her dreams and chase what she wanted to go and do, which was lovely. So, yeah, at one point or the other, we've had a number of different family members involved within Indigo Swan. Day to day, I suppose I'm the last one standing day to day. You can take that whatever way you want, really. But, you know, fighting a good fight for the Groves family. But, yeah, no, like I say, Emily is, you know, still very much involved with board discussions and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's the two of us now, and like I say, it's respecting each other, it's understanding each other, you know, working together and making at all times the right decisions for the company and also for the Swans as well. Which, to be fair, at the moment in time has never been more important.
Yeah, I think the key for Adam and I mean, Adam and I's history has gone on for maybe 10, 11 years now. We've been best friends since school, and the key for us is that we're very good at separating business and friendship. And we can talk to each other on a business level and talk to each other on a friendship level. I don't know, is that the same sort of relationship that you and Emily have, or is it different?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We have a very close relationship. You know, we're cousins, but it's I would probably say it's more of a brother-sister type relationship, really.
Right.
We were very close to family. We're a very small family. There's me and my brother and her and Sarah, her sister. You know, that our family is pretty much that. So we don't come from large family background or anything. So yeah, we have a very close relationship, and it is that, you know, having that relationship outside of the office and having that relationship outside of everything Indigo Swan is definitely beneficial.
Yeah.
And it comes back to something I truly believe in, which is, again, having those relationships with the team, having those personal relationships with the team. That if you have those relationships outside the office, you know, the awkward conversations, the difficult conversations, they do become a little bit easier.
Yeah.
You know, they're never easy because nothing ever is, but they do become easier to be quite frank with people and be quite honest with people and say how you're feeling to people if you've got a good personal relationship with them as well. And for me and Emily, that's definitely been a benefit over the years.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. So I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball, James.
Cool.
Quite selfishly wanting to know a little bit more about your business journey, and we all know that growing a business comes in peaks and troughs. But what's been your biggest regret with Indigo Swan?
People pleasing.
Okay, being too nice.
Yeah. People pleasing.
You think that is a strength?
I've answered all these questions now because I've got 10 years experience and I know what I'm doing. But if you'd asked me these questions, you know, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, it might be a different answer. But yeah, people pleasing for me. You know, I like people to be happy. I do.
Yeah.
And I think for me, my development over the last 5 years has been vast. As far as once I realised that you can still make people happy by telling them stuff they don't want to hear, you're going to go a lot further.
Right.
And, you know, not biting your tongue, just saying it how it is. Be honest, be open. It might not always be good news, but like I say, it's going to be a benefit to everybody in the long run. And I think for a number of years, maybe with Emily, but then also with others, it's a case of, no, I won't say that. You know, I want everyone to be happy. I want everyone to have a smile on their face. I'll just keep that buried deep down. And sometimes I've done that in my personal life as well. Sometimes that was just me as a person, whereas, certainly over the last sort of 5 or so years, I've really started to go, do you know what? You can't please people all the time. And hopefully by being honest with people, they'll see the benefit of that out the other side. And I've certainly seen that. I've certainly seen that Indigo Swan, and it's certainly helped us as a company, and it's helped me as a person.
I think that's a really lovely point, and actually that goes to show the kind of personal journey that you've been on. And that takes me nicely to this question, which is around, I know you guys have worked with non-execs and consultants and people like that. For anyone listening, again, it might be on the cusp of, do I get a some external help? Do I not? And there's loads of organisations out there. Again, I don't know if you're happy to share the organisation that you're part of, but the Vistage guys seem phenomenal. Just maybe share a little bit about that and the benefits it's brought to you, not only as a business, but also as an individual.
Yeah. I mean, as a business, when we started, both Emily initially had a decent amount of business experience. I had a little bit from where I was. You always need help. You always need mentors. You only know what you know, as they say, and you don't know what you don't know. So Nigel Cushion, who will be known to a lot of people within Norfolk, was extremely helpful and instrumental to Indigo Swan in the early days. He was certainly Emily's confidant as the company was starting and growing. And he provided a great amount of experience and a great amount of insight into how we could do things and different ways of looking at stuff. And he was extremely helpful in the early days of Indigo Swan. As we matured, both myself and Emily became a group of Vistage, as Nathan mentioned. Vistage is a great group. It's our chairman, Mark Fisher, of the group that I'm part of. He's just wonderfully caring, willing to give you as much time as he possibly can. Again, vast experience, marketing director at Diageo for a number of years, and he's pretty much seen most things. So if you've got a scenario for him, he'll have a great story. He loves a story. You go to him with a scenario, half an hour later, you've had a good story. But extremely useful, and you have to listen at all times. But that type of help is massively important, not just from Mark, but from the other people that are within your group. In Vistage, there's about 16 members in your group, so you're with 15 other businesses. I'm fortunate to be surrounded by leaders of extremely successful local businesses, from Rebecca at Fountain, Ali at LiftShare, numerous others around Norfolk, and the experience that those guys have had building their own businesses and having the success that they've had on local but national stages as well, specifically on Fountain and LiftShare's cases, has been great. And being able to hear their story and their insights and their ideas, and run ideas past those different types of personalities and those different types of people, extremely helpful for me, for my own career growth, for my own personal growth. Like I say, I feel like I do well and I excel in certain areas, but I'm very happy to put my hands on and say there's definitely areas that I want to develop in and be better at, whether it's analysing the finances or, scrubbing up my strategy and things like that. Sharing a room with people like that is extremely valuable, and I get a massive amount out of it. So if people don't have mentors or they don't socialise within a peer network of local or national businesses, I would certainly encourage it, because, there's only so many people you have to share your issues with confidentially. That's the other thing about Vistage. It's completely confidential. You share stuff on a business level, you share stuff on a personal level. It doesn't leave the four walls that you're in. And you just get some great help and some great insight into how you can go away and develop yourself and also develop your business.
Really, really interesting, James. So thank you for sharing so much value about your business journey and yourself. But what I'd like to know is what's next for Indigo Swan? What's next for you as well?
Oh, Karen taking over
big
the world.
Question.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a strange time at the moment. I'm so fortunate, and we've done really well, to be fair, during what is a challenging time. And I'm now more than ever, I'm grateful that I went. People always need energy. And sadly, not every business can say that, and I get that. It's not hard enough, but we'll get impacted by it somehow. There's not a business out there that's not going to be impacted by it.
Yeah.
The forecasts and performance we wanted to have this year might not quite be where we wanted it to be. I do hope that we'll come out this year well and in a strong position to grow on that going into 2021. As a company, the first and foremost is I want to make sure every Swan is in a job. I want to make sure that we get back to whatever the new normal looks like with 20 Swans. That's it. That's number one. If we can all get back into the office whenever that may be and whatever that looks like with 20 members of staff, then that for me has been a success in 2020. If we can come out with some profit at the end of it, then that's even better. But I'm just grateful to everyone that's around me. We have had to furlough some of the team. They've been amazingly understanding. They're all going away doing different stuff. Alex has just completed a leadership qualification. He's now going to go and do a level 5 qualification. He's spending his furlough time in exactly the right way.
Right.
And then we've got the guys that are working extremely hard, probably harder than they've ever had to work before, because there's there's more work for them than the number of people we have working maybe. But we've had to make those decisions in order to protect the future of the company and all 20 jobs. So what does 2020 look like? That's what it looks like for me. Is having 20 people back in working later this year, early next year, and having an amazing pipeline to go and have a world record breaking 2021 and big celebrations and big reward for anybody that worked so hard during this period of time. I think also there's going to be opportunity. I think that's the one thing I keep saying with coronavirus. There's opportunity. There's opportunity for Indigo Swan within our sector. Most definitely, there's going to be business out there for us to go and have a look at and see what we can find. A lot of our competitors will thrive as we will, and some of our competitors sadly won't. And for us, there's the opportunity there, and we need to make sure we're striking on that, and we're doing what we can in order to find those customers that need help, who maybe don't have the help they did have or haven't looked for the help before. People are going to need to save more money than they've ever have had before. So we need to make sure we're doing that, and just continuously, keeping the brand going, keeping our reputation going, doing new things. We did our first webinar this morning, which was great. So doing the Avocado Club, and we did that this morning, and that was a good success. Doing more stuff like that. This is the future. We've always been about people, face to face. That's been our big selling point as a company. The opportunity now is, how do we find business and how do we get our personality across virtually? And that's something that myself and our head of marketing, Jamie, are working extremely hard on to make sure that during this challenging time, we don't disappear. Indigo Swan is still there. It's in your face. You're sick of seeing us on LinkedIn. You're sick of seeing us on Facebook, on Instagram, and we've kept that up. And that's been, for me, one of my big things was, you could go and furlough your marketing manager. Of course you could. And a lot of people probably have. But for me, that was vitally important that we kept Jamie, there. We kept getting our message out there, and we kept having that presence and that consistency.
It's even more important to shout even louder, I would say, than before.
Yeah, 100%. And for me, it's I've certainly seen it within our sector, but then also locally, there's a lot of people that were quite loud that have now sort of maybe disappeared or being a bit quieter. For me, that was an opportunity in its own right, was to be as loud as Indigo Swan always has been, and get out there releasing content that's going to be useful from an energy point of view. But then if we can give some advice on how we're tackling COVID-19, and we can give some advice on how we're helping the Swans, it's just trying to find a fine balance between all of those things to bring as much value to as big an audience as possible.
James, I think one thing that really strikes me from today's conversations and conversations before is the consistency from the message that you deliver, whether it be coronavirus, no coronavirus, a good day in the world of James Groves, a terrible day in the world of James Groves. It's always that kind of honesty, transparency, and humility. And I think that goes such a long way. And I guess a lot of that would have been learned possibly from the environment you've been surrounded in. But I believe a lot of that may have come from reading. And I know you're a big reader and into your books. For those listening today, are there a couple of maybe 2 or 3 books that you think you've got to read it? The one that always sticks in my mind is I saw a Walt Disney quote made its way on your wall. Any books that the guys can kind of listen to?
Yeah, so to be fair, you mentioned Disney, and it's one that I've read recently, and there was a purpose for reading it. It's called The Ride of a Lifetime, and it's the autobiography of Robert Iger, the CEO of Disney, been CEO of Disney for a number of years, and the sort of subtitle of that book is about creative leadership. And there's probably never been a time ever that you need to be creative as a leader than now. Going into an office every day, that's fine. I can do that. I can go in, I can motivate the troops, I can get everyone G'd up and, get my personality across. Now I have to be creative. Every morning, from reading this book and different ideas, every morning I do a WhatsApp video to every member of the team, to the What's Going Swan WhatsApp group. I've done 35 videos and 35 daily challenges. To be fair, I'm running out of ideas. If anyone has any, get them sent across. But again, it's just something a little bit different. There's probably other people out there doing a similar thing. But, normally I'd walk in and go, morning, guys, how you going? Blah, 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 blah. But now I'm like, well, how do I get that same level of buy-in and engagement and culture, but working from our own individual offices and bedrooms and lounges? So for me, it was a case of, well, if I do my morning video, it's, still got a morning. I've got a challenge for people to think about, whether you're furloughed or you're not. And then carrying on, making sure, at the end of the day, I then send a little message, just making sure that everyone's been thanked. But it's just trying to be creative, and that book specifically really made me have a think about, right, okay, in this time, how can we be more creative with our leadership? The second one, and I talk about it a lot, and I'd be remiss not to talk about it again, is Radical Candor by Kim Scott. Changed, I wouldn't say changed my life, but it's probably not far off. I've talked about it before, but I came across Kim probably 6-7 years ago now. I found a video of online, and she was talking about Radical Candor. And then over time, she put a book together, which has been a bestseller and definitely worth a read. The main premise of it is that you should care about your people personally, which I talk about a lot, but you should also challenge them directly. And it's having a great mix of those two things. And it really was a huge game changer for me, because I was like, you know what, I do this, but do I do it enough? And it comes back to when I was talking about the people pleasing. I was like, yeah, do you know what, I do care for people personally, but do I honestly, hand on heart, challenge them as directly as I could do? And after seeing this video, and then in turn reading the book, and I'm lucky enough to have some conversations with Kim as well, I was able to go, right, let's give it a go. I've built these relationships, now let's just try and be a little bit more ruthless. And I was more ruthless, and it went amazingly. And I was like, oh my God, this is great. I'm on something here. I can be myself, and I can be more honest, and we're getting results, and people are respectful, and people are grateful. You know, you're sitting there saying to someone some fairly personal, not great things about them. And there's one example of someone that works with us who knows who she is, but she loved it. She was like, no one has ever had the balls to say that to my face. No one, you know, I don't think no one's ever been that blunt with me. But she was grateful. She's developed herself, you know, and she's now not a completely different person, but she knows herself, you know, the development she's gone through and where she is now at Indigo Swan compared to where she was before. And that was simply by just going, yeah, I've got great personal relationships with people. Now I just need to be less people-pleasing, more honest. And all of that really came from the Radical Candor framework, and has really helped me personally, but definitely helped Indigo Swan in turn, and then hopefully helped a number of the individual swans. So yeah, they're probably my two go-to. Be honest, be creative, and care about people. You know, if you do those, if you do those three things, you're going to do all right.
Love that. Thanks for that. I'm going to download those books, because I listen to books. I don't read books. I'm one of those.
Right, whatever works for you, mate. Whatever works for you.
So James, reflecting on your career today, I mean, did you ever? A lot of people sort of, you know, see the stars and always want to get some. I'm definitely one of those forward-thinking people, and never really happy with where I am. I'm always looking at the next step. Did you ever think that you'd be in the position that you were now, maybe 10 years ago?
You know what? It's a brilliant question. I always had the belief that I'd be a good leader.
Yeah.
Did I think I'd be a managing director of a company? Maybe not. You know, my dream was to be a professional actor.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to do. That's all I ever wanted to do. I just wanted to be a professional actor. I didn't care whether it was stage, screen, an extra in the background of EastEnders. It didn't really bother me. That's what I wanted to do, and you know, that didn't work out for different reasons. You know, main reason being is I didn't have pots of money to go and live in London and go to every audition under the sun, really, which you have to in that industry. But I found that I suppose that I could use the skills that I did have as an actor in order to bring that into my leadership style.
Yeah.
So I always believed that I'd be a good leader. Managing director of a company in my early days, maybe not. At Indigo Swan, I knew the value that I brought. I always knew that my success would be measured that when Emily didn't have to be in the office day to day.
Right.
You know, that's how my success was measured. I knew that I would be as successful as I could be if I saw Emily less. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I mean that in a very positive way. And I think for me, you know, did I think it would be now? No. Did I think I'd get there a little bit longer in time? Yeah, probably. But for me, the biggest reward I have now is the fact that I have got there. You know, I've got the respect of all my colleagues. You know, I have done a bit of everything within the company. And Emily's now able to go and spend her time doing what she wants to do. Because at the moment, going back to university and doing a psychology degree. you know, and for me, that's great, and that brings me great satisfaction. So no, I probably didn't, but do you know what? I love it. I really do love it, and even now I love it. You know, there's a lot of people maybe not loving it at the moment. I think it's fair to say, but I love it. What am I, 12 months into managing director of Indigo Swan? I'll probably never have a bigger challenge for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So, you know, if I can get past this one, then that's great.
You've made it.
Yeah, exactly.
What a great achievement, James. I mean, if you could go back 10 years and talk to your old self, what would you say to 10 years younger James?
Oh, what would I say to 10 years younger James? I think it's a lot of stuff that I've said here. I think it is to be more honest and try not to please people all the time and think about yourself more. You know, I'm not a selfish person. That's just not the way that I am. I get much more satisfaction out of other people's success than I do my own. But at the same time, if I were to go back 10 years and what happened in my life and things like that, I've talked about how a TED Talk, so I'm happy to talk about it here. You know, I got divorced when I was young from my first marriage. Did I learn any lessons from that? Yeah. Was I quick to act on them? Probably not. So, you know, for me, 10 years ago, I'd have said, come on, you know, think about yourself a little bit more. Stop worrying about other people. But at the same time, be more honest. And I think 10 years ago to where I am now, I've listened to myself. I've learned from those mistakes. I've developed myself. And thankfully, that's led to where I am today, which is great. So I'm very happy with that.
I think the last 35 to 40 minutes, if I was to sum up why we started this podcast, was for that 35 to 40 minutes. Not only does Stokely and I learn stacks for ourselves as well, but actually we bring non-stop value to anybody listening. And I can't thank you enough. I mean, the stuff not only you do for me and Stokely, and actually for the business community, people don't maybe appreciate that or sometimes see that. So a huge thank you for that. And actually, it's been amazing to have you on today's show. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope everyone listening's enjoyed it. But yeah, just a massive thank you for all that you do, James, and you continue to go above and beyond it. We really appreciate it.
Both of you're more than welcome. I think the one last thing I'd just like to say, because I'd be remiss if I didn't, is there's a lot of managing directors out there and a lot of people that run businesses. And I think one of the other things I've learned massively in the last 12 months is embracing the talent around you. That's huge. And I've said this a lot recently, and it's really been, I've really thought about it a lot recently as well, especially with people being furloughed and the leadership team and the help I'm getting. You know, I'm good at what I'm good at, but I'm extremely lucky to be surrounded by a world-class marketeer, a world-class finance person, a world-class ops guy, you know, a world-class sales leader. I'm very, very lucky to have those people around me and to embrace that. You know, yeah, my face gets around. I like to go out. I like to see people. You know, face of Indigo Swan. That's lovely, but we wouldn't be successful as a company, and I wouldn't be successful as a person if it wasn't without those people around me and the amazing work that they're doing and the amazing support they give me. You know, if you're a managing director and you don't feel you're being supported by the people that work for you, then that's something to have a look at, because the support that we need is just as important as the support they need. And I'm extremely thankful that I have that and the support for people like you guys as well. And, you know, the local business community, you know, we champion each other well. I mean, Norfolk is like nowhere else for me. It's like, it's unreal. We're all championing each other all the time. And I think as a leader of a business, it's important that you get that help as well. So yeah, I would have been remiss to go without saying that. I'm just extremely grateful for that support that I have around me and the skill set that I have helping Indigo Swan on the journey that we're on.
Mate, phenomenal. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thanks again, James.
No worries.
What a pleasure.